Hello and welcome to the Portland Film Festival. I'm Jennifer Arndt. I'm a part of the programming team, and today we're joined by actor, writer, producer, director Daniel Baldwin. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And today we're going to be talking about his documentary feature called My Promise to PJ. And before we get going with our Q&A, we're going to thank some of our sponsors. We want to thank Comcast. Comcast team's tremendous support and commitment to independent filmmaking has ensured that we give a platform to unique perspectives in the world. We'd also like to thank Kerner Camera, Portland Mortgage, and Oregon Film. To find out more information to buy tickets for My Promise to PJ and more, go to pdxff.com. All right. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you
This is
for
really
having
exciting. There's so much to unpack from your film. I guess first of all, I want to say thank you for sharing it with the festival because I think addiction is something I think almost everyone in the world has some relationship with, whether it's a family member, a child, a spouse. It's kind of impacted all of us. So I feel like this film is so important for all of us to kind of get an understanding of all the perspectives of what addiction can do. And this kind of is a very personal, it seems like a very personal film on many levels. Can you kind of touch on how you got to this moment where, you sort of incorporating your experience with addiction and this young man's experience, and how this film kind of, you're like, this is it, we're going to do this?
Well, first, let me say that the outcome, what you witness in the film, is not what I scripted. It's not what I planned. Here was a boy whose mother was my brother Alex's first girlfriend in junior high school. I mean, I've known this family, Barbara Jean, the mom. I've known her since I'm probably 5 years old. So in my stepping in to try to help him and mentor him and help him get sober, it did not end the way I thought. I was way past this. For him to have experienced an overdose after the many years that I had positioned him, tutored him, guided him, it was quite shocking to me. So it wasn't the plan. And because I was so unsettled with his death, I felt like I had to do something. The psychotic addict part of me immediately said, what didn't you do that could have prevented this from happening to him? Like it was my fault.
Like it's about you. Yeah.
About me.
Mm-hmm.
And the end made a terrible choice after having multiple years of sobriety. And there really was nothing that you could have done. But I didn't rest well. Let me at the top say this. So many people, and although it's lovely to give to charities, it's lovely to help people, it's lovely to do things for anyone, it is. But most people mistake watching this film or the idea of this film as, wow, what a great tribute that he made for his friend. This was about me. This film was about me. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening, we reach out to the addict or alcoholic that still suffers. That completes the circle. So for me, I was so unsettled with losing this boy. And I thought, I'll be damned if I'm going to go over a decade of time trying to help him and have his death be in waste of anything positive to come from it. So I thought, what can I do? Well, if one, I'll keep my promise to him. And number two, would he in death, if he could reach out to speak to me, say, yes, I want you to use what you've learned and I want you to use the experience with me to potentially save the lives of other addicts. Would you want that, PJ? And he would have jumped out of his grave to say yes to do that. So this film gives a voice to those people who are left behind.
Yeah.
Rarely do we get to hear them discuss when you get to see a mom who's absolutely broken. I mean, she's broken now. She will never be the same. She lost her son, her firstborn. So this film gives a voice to those people, and hopefully all the accolades and all the things are lovely to win for a movie. I mean, we all aspire to do that, and they're not a necessity, but they're gravy on top of the dressing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice that that happens. But how many people in my position or in your position can say that they've made a film that saved someone's life? And and I believe that this film will save people's lives.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think the way you've kind of the scaffolding of the film, I feel like you've got this. You're talking to PJ's family. You're using footage from his life, talking about his story. Then you're also getting the perspective of your family, your brothers, your sisters, about what it was like for them to witness your addiction. And then you've got yourself kind of sandwiched in the middle, getting in shape to keep this promise to PJ. And I thought the way that was structured was so smart because it really kind of lets you be present in all those phases of addiction where you're remembering what it was like in it, but then you're also beyond it, you know. So I thought that would give a really great texture to the experience of watching the film and understanding, the layers of addiction and what it's like to be at different points in it. I was curious, what was it like for? I mean, you've been sober for a really long time now, right? Like, um,
November 22nd, 2006.
congratulations, that's amazing, that's huge. Um, has it? I mean, you get pretty raw, you get pretty honest about what you went through, and you really. It seems like you just were like talking to your brothers, being like, "What was it like for you to see that?" And I was curious for you, has what was it like to hear those stories
It's a
of
great,
that?
because I would say that the thing that I loathe most about being a filmmaker in this experience, I loathe it, but even more now, is the post-production phases
Mhm.
where, you get that kid that does something just fantastic and you catch it on camera and you go, look at the way he looks away and he drops his head. And then as you're editing the film, and you're down to, 110 minutes and you need to get to 96. And now you're cutting out those pieces where you go, oh no, am I really going to lose that? Because it doesn't make sense unless I show the full 2 minutes of it, what got us there. Well, that's in a script. In a script, I can control that a little bit more. But in a documentary, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to say. I didn't rehearse. I didn't ask them. I didn't give them a list of questions. Nothing. I wanted it to be raw and real. So, to turn around and not really know what your brother is going to say and then have to sit and watch it for over and over about what a loser you were and how incompetent you were and how, I think that having the relationship I have with Alec and him being sober also, he gave me some digs and stuff, but he kept it pretty professional, if you will. For Billy, um, I think it was more almost like a therapy session for him. I mean, he had said things to me he had never gotten a chance to say before. He wasn't very kind in his delivery, and that's okay. I can take it. I'm a big boy. And I did most of the things, or at least his perception of what caused them or whatever. But it was really difficult to listen to. I have over 2.5 hours of footage on Billy. And, I just thought, what does that have to do with this movie? I mean, but it was hard to listen to, but um, it was very sobering, to see what's that look like in the eyes of a loved one, which is another great thing to have in this film. Again, the whole purpose of the film is to motivate someone to not want to use anymore. Is to try to, and also to give a voice to those people. Unfortunately, we're looking at, I mean, just astronomical numbers now. I think last year we lost 75,000 kids between the ages of 15 and 25 to overdoses. That's more than the Vietnam War. Now, I'm not taking anything from the pandemic and other things that are terrible out there, but they sure do get a lot of federal funding and attention and laws and stuff, but they're not doing anything for these kids that are sitting in, and Portland's a major city for this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many kids in these little encampments that they have there that are just so wasted on different stuff, but they don't really have an option. They don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad to me. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. There's that moment. Oh, it really touched me when well, the moment where PJ and Rufus, I think, you guys talk about the bond they had and like how Rufus is like a spiritual dog. And I totally get that because I love dogs so much. But I love seeing that. And then how you guys let PJ watch your house when you'd go out of town and giving him that key and how um, that was a really, like you said, it was like a graduation moment for him in his sobriety of like, we trust you, like we know you can do the right thing and you're going to do it. And that really, like, I think that's one of the biggest gifts you can give people is your trust. I thought that was a really powerful moment, and I can only imagine how it felt for him.
I will never forget his face.
Yeah.
He really legitimately looked at me like, because he was so used to everyone changing their locks.
Mm.
You know, that I handed him a key. I went, no, man, well, I have to keep leaving it. I just had one made. Here's the key. And yeah, that was a really
Yeah. That really touched me. And just hearing how, yeah, like I think your wife was just like, she's like, I didn't even think about it at the time because, it was just an honest, like, oh, here you go. Here's the key to the house. Like, but from his perspective, it was a massive step. I loved it. Really touching. So I remember my question, which was, I feel like, I mean, we've all known addicts in our lives, and I feel like it's kind of an elusive. You can't quite put a target on it, like what it is about somebody or why they can't, stop. I mean, I know there's the chemical dependency. There's a lot of like science behind it, but I guess that leads me to the question of like what from your experience and also mentoring somebody, what can you tell an addict who's struggling and maybe they're still fighting that voice inside them? Maybe they see this and like what can you tell them as like what's their first step to get help?
well, by the time it's become full blown addiction, I mean, I don't know if normies, people that have never really been in the grips of an addiction, understand how much time it takes, how much effort it takes to remain an addict. I mean, it's quite a full-time job because you have to remember that the consequences that you suffer along the way make it harder and harder to support your addictive behavior. The people leave you, the money's gone, you're unemployable, you don't have a house to live in. I mean, it can topple pretty quickly. So by the time they get to when your father's calling me to intervene, kind of thing, you're probably in pretty bad shape. Um, and I always say to the addict, think about how much we had to go through to stay high every day. Think about the number of calls to your mom and your father and your brother-in-law and your spouse and your kids and the law and the lawyer and the job and, trying to keep all this stuff up when it doesn't take that much to say, I don't want this in my life anymore. And at least try. They can't fathom what it would be like to be sober for years. They can't fathom that. So what I offer them usually is, don't you want this to stop for now anyway? Just clean it up a little bit and get health. Look, I mean, I take pictures too, and I show people pictures. I go, look at yourself right now. Do you recognize that person? I mean, it can escalate quickly. So, um, but yeah, the grip of addiction, the security of addiction. Remember, somebody who is an addict probably has a number of other circumstances in their life or things that happen. Addiction is only the byproduct of the underlying issue. So if we're not going to peel that onion back through the therapeutic process and talk about that sexual indiscretion, that adulterous act, that the loss of that parent, whatever it is, for many young women in addiction, there is something that happened to them sexually. So, I don't get into that too much, and certainly I don't ever get into that with female clients, but I have spoken with other men trying to get sober over things that have happened to them in their life. You need an opportunity to do the surgery necessary. It's like an infection in a bad cut. You actually have to lay it open a little further, open it, do that digging out and cleaning out, and then we sew it up when we let it heal. There's a lot of digging that you have to do usually with most addicts. That's why long-term care is usually the only real answer that equates long-term sobriety. You can't go in for 2 months and expect that in 2 months you're going to share with your therapist all the stuff that happened to you when you were 9, 10, 11, and 12 years old in your home, that kind of thing. So it's a process.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think the way you've exposed addiction in this movie, the people left behind, I feel like that's if that can't get to somebody's heart, and at least open that door to asking for help, I don't know what can. But going back to that moment where you're like, you decide, I love this story. Okay, so you're in Barcelona. You're gonna go. I think it's maybe the morning you're running with the bulls, and you're in a hotel lobby, and it's really empty. It must be early in the morning, and you recall that story of how you and PJ made his bucket list, and you brought your bucket list out, and you compared notes, and you're like, we're going running with the bulls. Can you kind of take me back to that moment of how you guys, like, this was what your thing you were gonna do?
Well, well, first of all, running into that poster that I sat by, there's what I call God shots in your life, and I was looking for a place in the lobby because it was so early, but I knew the people would start coming in. I'm intermittently filming myself. So I went for a far corner of the hotel, and I didn't see it right away. And I look over and I go, I can't believe I'm sitting in front of this poster. I can't believe it. I wanted to give PJ something to look forward to. What was going to be different about this time? I had put him in rehab before multiple times. He had failed because of his inability to have a positive, proactive program after he gets out of rehab. It still requires daily meditation, work, prayer, meetings, sponsorship, working the steps. He wasn't willing to do all that stuff. He was like most. So to incentivize it, I asked him to write the bucket list. Remember that means that it was on my bucket list too. So it was something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to. The biggest error in the film was that I didn't make it 15 years earlier. I mean, at 58 years old, I got kind of beat up a little bit before I got there. And then when I got there, I herniated my stomach pretty badly. It wasn't easy to do what I did. It wasn't easy to lose 57 pounds in 5 months. I mean, I'm older now. My metabolism has changed. I can still train. I can still do things that were probably better for me to come out the other side in better shape and all that. But the recovery period of a lifting session or a running session or whatever now on my back and different parts of my body the next day are significantly different than they were when I was 45, for sure. Had I done this at 45, this would have been easy for me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy physically.
I have to say, like, I mean, I know, like, that was seeing you work out and do all that and go to physical therapy for your shoulder and all these things, like, you were working hard, and, you seem like a tough guy, so I know you can handle it. But, like, when you got to Pamplona and, you were working out, herniated your stomach, and doctors like, don't run, don't go running with the bulls. You shouldn't do it. And you called Barbara Jean and said, what would PJ do? And I love her reaction, which was like, he wouldn't do it. And you called her out.
Yeah, it was really real.
You called her out and you're like, you're lying.
I said, yeah, Pete, all right, he would, but you can't.
Yeah. I love it.
I really looked at what it took to get me there. And please remember something. For anyone that's watching, this in my mind was like the Olympic Games. Not that it's as big or anything else, don't get me wrong. But for me personally, it was my own personal little Olympics. You get one shot at the 100-meter finals. You know what I mean? You get one. So I knew that I had to be ready for a very short amount of time. Those bulls are running at 33 miles an hour. They're 10 miles an hour slower than a thoroughbred racehorse, but they're 1,200 or more pounds, and they are not happy that they've been let out of that pen and they're running on the street. So you do literally, until you get down there and you feel your feet shaking, and you feel your feet shaking, not because you're scared. As they get closer, the impact of their hooves hitting those cobblestone streets actually bounces you off the street. That's how powerful they are. And I don't care who you are. It was a gut check moment. I mean, can you run right next to them or in the pack with them? There's 3 bull runners, the ones who run in the beginning and then dive out of the way. the ones that what the bull get by them and try to run, and you can't catch up to them, unless they're making a turn. And then there's the guys that run with the bulls, in the pack with the bulls. And I was going to be that guy. But the two things that are really, really hard was the Heisman Trophy pose that I threw in, which I don't want to spoil the movie, but I wanted to find something that was cool. And I remembered that Desmond Howard moment. I remember when Desmond did it in the game against Ohio State. What a jinx moment that was for him. I mean, it was risky to be that cocky. Either he was the baddest man on the planet and he was going to now win it, because he struck the pose before they announced who won. And I thought, why would you do that? You're probably going to win it. Now you've ruined it. And it didn't matter. That was the whole point. I am going to win it. So PJ went nuts when I told him I'm going to strike a Heisman in dead man's curve in a bull's face. And he goes, fuck you. You're not going to. He threw the towel up, the flag on the play. Like, there's no way you could do that. Well, the moment, it's a very brief moment, but that allowed all the bulls to close in on me getting ready for that. When I made that turn, I was in traffic. The one bull, if you played in slow motion, he just clips my elbow with his horn. And they don't care. They're going to kill you. You get hit by one of those, like getting hit by a small train. So,
and 2 people have been killed the day before, a few days before, right? Or
there's been a number of people killed at the bulls. I think, over the years, it's only been like 18 people over 100 years, whatever, which, you think about it, it's one every 5 years or something like that. But that's not it. It's the number of people that are maimed.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of people, 10, 20 per year that have had a lung punctured, or they don't walk the same anymore. They're hit. Because when that thing hits you, I mean, it's literally like getting hit with a sledgehammer. They're so powerful. Watch when they throw a 200-pound person up in the air, 6 feet up there, and they go, just throw them up with effortlessly. It's crazy.
Yeah, that dead man's curve moment. Yeah, you did not, you were not a wimp. You were going for it the whole way. I was wildly impressed. You made it look easy. And then you strike the pose, and that even, you're you made it look easy, which I know it wasn't, but.
I was scared to not do anything.
Yeah. Well, and I can only imagine the adrenaline, like you said, that punch, that God punch. Yeah, it must just feel like you're electric.
I can't even recall. I can watch it. And of course I have extensive footage of it. I can recall measuring the street, like about 10 seconds. They were turning the upper, and I could see the people starting to run at me fast. And I remember looking at it's only 21 feet wide, the street. So that's not a lot of room. I'm in a room right now that's 20 feet wide. And so there's nowhere to go. And I remember thinking to myself, run, but I wanted to wait for them so I could run in the curve with them. I don't know. That's all right. Here comes the start of my kids now going to start calling me. The advent of these phones. Now my daughter is upstairs right now in her bedroom. Mm-hmm. She can't come down to ask Daddy, but she has to FaceTime me.
Well, your girls are beautiful. I loved seeing them in the documentary too, eating their healthy meal. Yeah, I was just wildly and then to end in the film with the freeze frame of you doing the Heisman pose, and I didn't even really catch it, obviously, during that moment.
Didn't show it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Editing it because I wanted to have that ending that way. But I'll tell you what was not in the final script or outline, if you will, was the scene in Michigan Stadium at the end before we go to that. I had just come from editing the film, the last editing session in Idaho, and I drove from upstate New York to Idaho with my girls. Mm-hmm. I'm driving back and I'm just saying to myself, something's missing. It's not buttoned yet. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out what am I missing? What's the message in this journey that I haven't conveyed? Because that's what I feel. I feel like I'm watching going, okay, great, you did it. And then I realized, so, God works in different ways in different people's lives. I said, oh my God, I need to tell them it didn't work. Running with the Bulls did not heal my sorrow, my anxiety and sadness over losing PJ. It didn't. And I say in the beginning of the film a few times, what happens if this doesn't do it? I mean, I was very unsettled about this, and I don't get very emotional about too much. And I know to separate myself from clients, or people that are the subject of addiction when I'm trying to help, because it's dangerous not to, for my own sobriety and my own self. So, but I could not get away from this one. And I was right. I remember flying home from Barcelona saying, I don't feel any better than I did. I don't. I mean, the loss of this kid was stupid. It could have been prevented. It was a waste of time. It wasn't what I planned. But it wasn't until I was driving home from Idaho, and I had to go well out of my way up into Michigan. And I know the head football coach there. Well, I called his office. He wasn't there. So I'm in the car with my girls driving around the biggest college football stadium in all of college football, and everything, because of COVID, is fenced off. So I thought, I'm going to jump the fence. I got cameras. And as I'm coming around the corner to like this freight area, I see the fence going, open up with a delivery truck on its way out. And I thought, this is my shot. So the truck comes and I tail off and trail in behind him, drive underneath the stadium so I can see the little tunnel of light where the stands are. I said, girls, stay in the car. I had cameras and everything. I was actually going to fake like I was running the kick back myself and do the Heisman pose there and then cut to. And I thought, don't take the time to go down there. This isn't going to last. So I just shot with my iPhone the tutorial about, for me, my personal relationship with Jesus Christ is pretty strong. And so to know that it was my faith that got me through this, to know that the reason why I'm confident I'm going to see PJ again. I might smack him in the side of the head when I see him, but I'm going to see him again. And I'm going to a place in my world and in my life that gives me those things I was seeking, that I thought running with the Bulls was going to. It wasn't. It was about going on that journey and learning that I always had the ability through my faith, and that it was my faith that delivered me. So, there's Barbara Jean talks about her faith in the film and her belief system. It is a little bit of a faith film too, when you think about it.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you too. I mean, you have that conversation with Barbara Jean where, you're asking, where is God in all of this? And she really, I think that's one of the most effective moments for me to understand what it's like for a family member, a mother, to lose a son to addiction. Because, she's like, he's still here, but she also mentions like being here is the hell. PJ's in heaven. And, I think that really, it brings in the faith, and it also, she's going to see him again. You're going to see him again. And so I think that was a really powerful element. And I do love the way you ended it, because I mean, what could possibly replace PJ? Like running with the Bulls isn't, there's no cure for that kind of grief, right? So I think you ended it so beautifully, and it sounds like it was a really moment of kismet that led you to that stadium.
Yeah, leaving him there, leaving a portion of his ashes there. What's a funny story that I should tell you though? Do you remember the boy that comes up to me in the
Yeah,
okay.
I was so curious what he said to you.
He was just kind of broing up about being able to run with the ball. It is there's like a fraternity involved to the people that are, especially if they're in that stadium and they make it all the way into the stadium running. But the great thing that you see at the end, he leans back in as I'm about to walk away, and you see me go, he asks me if I want to get high.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding me.
He said, "You want to smoke a joint?" And I looked at my wife, no.
I saw you shaking your head and doing that, and I was like, I don't know what he asked him. Oh, wow.
I thought the irony of that, this guy, and then he goes into this like dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's wild. And then you get down on your knees and you pray, and then you release him of PJ's ashes. And I think, wow, what a moment.
Yeah, we all have those as kids we're getting up in the wiffle ball game or the softball game. We're going to play the football game, and I'm going to drop back to pass. And you drop back and can hear in your head, Joe Namath is in the pocket. He looks down. You dream about those things that are going to happen to you. Well, I didn't kill myself. I tried not to in the film overplay how painful my stomach was when I ran. I did bind it up a little bit, but it was really a challenge to be someone who doesn't take narcotics, and just 2 days after ripping my entire stomach open. So when I walked, I hesitated to show when I have my hands up and I'm just walking, because I really did feel like I'm in the stadium. I'm the bullfighter now, they're cheering. And I was trying to find my team. And I threw my hands up like, I did it. I didn't get killed. I actually am here. The Bulls are gone. I should be safe. And wow, I actually did this. It was an odyssey to get to that point, and a lot of unknowns. I learned as a calm down, Big Bear. Oh, this is brewing up to war of the world. Come here. Hey, come see Daddy.
Hey, boys.
Come on, you troublemakers.
Hey, handsome fellas.
Where's Jethro? Where's Jet? Come on. Come on, trouble. Yeah, you look like you're ready for trouble.
Hey, buddy.
Ready for trouble. Can you lay down now, Daddy? Can you? Yeah, he's got this rambunctious thing. I can just tell when he wants right. All right, sorry.
No, that's okay. We can wrap up. I have another question after this, and then we can wrap up.
Question.
What's that?
Tell me your question.
Oh, well, it's kind of you mentioned your 12th step, like service, being of service and giving back, and I've noticed that because I've had family members in the 12-step program, so I'm aware of it and I've heard them talk about it, to have a sense of it. But I just wanted to thank you, because ever since we've said we're going to play this movie in the festival, every email that any of us have gotten has been you saying, let me know how I can help. Let me know how I can help. And so it just, for me, after seeing the film, it made me think, is this just your mode? You just go around helping people, offering to help, part of service?
I ask in my prayers every day. There's a couple of things that are very consistent. Number one, I thank God every day. Thank him. I'm a very grateful person for what I have. Am I human? Do I want more? Do I want other things? Of course I do. But two things that are staple is that I ask God to continue to guide me. And then I throw this in. And please, Lord, don't let me miss the signs. Because we as human beings will try to steer the direction of the outcome, as opposed to truly letting God have it and fly the plane for us. And then, God will make it apparent to you what should and shouldn't be. Portland, Oregon, for me, is probably my favorite city in the world. I mean, I absolutely lived in Lake Oswego for years, built or was a part of the building of Indent Studios. I had plans to run for political office in Oregon. I really, really just absolutely love it there, and may return. But anything I can do, it has such a hip film community, and it's I still don't know, and I'm not saying I'm the person to do this, but I still don't know that they've ever had someone, maybe Gus a little bit, but that wrangled everybody together in an effort to make this city, you know what I mean? Like, to really bring it, so Grimm came and Portlandia and a couple of things, but I still haven't seen it take off the way I envisioned it. I think I could be a part of that. And I just love the Todd Robinsons of the world, the diggers that get in there, and Lara, his wife. And
oh yeah, they're great.
Oh my God. But they're hardworking film people, very knowledgeable film people, the kind of people that I can just turn around and say, okay, here's the budget, let's go, and trust them. They know exactly what they're doing up there. I just don't get why there isn't a tighter community, with one or two studios that really, they have a lot of that industrial stuff going on there with Nike and
Mhm.
and uh, and so many of the other tech companies, that there's plenty of work to do in post and everything. But if the state of Oregon, and or in particular the city of Portland, was to incorporate some kind of incentivization that was as good as Atlanta, it's a lot closer to LA, and people really like Portland. You can make Portland look like Prague. You can make Portland look, I mean, there's so many things you can do in that city. Um, I miss it there. I
Yeah.
do. I miss
Well,
the ability. Guess who's calling me?
your daughter.
No, how do I merge it?
Oh, is it Barbara Jean?
Barbara Jean.
No way.
Wait, on.
If you need to go, we can. I mean, we've been talking for an hour. I've taken your time.
No, I'm gonna. Well, she's call. Wait, are you there?
Oh,
She's
yeah.
calling me about this whole situation with the family. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you've got a lot of that going on right now. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just wanted to say, I'm one of those, I feel like I'm the cheesy person at our festival where like I feel like we're a tight-knit family. And so I always say, people that we get to meet like you, like now you're a part of this family. So anytime we want you to come back to Portland and start that studio. So anything we can do to help, let us know.
okay. Well, I already adopted that theory with you. I think we're friends on Facebook now.
Yes, yes. I know. Like, and I grew up in Lake Oswego. Like, we've got all these. We're gonna be friends. But I just want to thank you for sharing this film with us. I think it's, I hope more people see it. I hope it gets all the attention it deserves. What is next for you? Do you have anything you wanted to share? What's coming up?
I have a mafia TV show that I did the pilot with Michael Madsen called For Nothing, based on 3 New York Times bestsellers by Nick Denman. So it looks like that they're getting the funding for that together. And so I'll be to work in late November. And then I have a show called Perfect Brats that I've developed that I just got picked up for 10 episodes. It's an online thing. But I'll tell you about that privately because it has a twist ending.
Okay, cool. Well, congratulations. Well, we'll look out for that and let the festival know, and we'll share it with our social media audience and everything.
When does Portland Film Festival judge for the when is their awards?
The awards are going to be at the beginning of first week in November, end of the first week in November. So that's when we tally up the audience awards, and then the jury awards are announced. So
All right, I'm going to stuff the ballot box.
okay. We'll do an audit. So don't even try it. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Daniel, thank you so much. It was really lovely to speak to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
God bless you.